In 2020, piracy was at an all-time low. Today, 216 billion people are visiting pirate sites again. The era of convenience is dead, and I know what you're thinking. Of course piracy's back. People just want free stuff. But here's the thing. I've spent the last 3 weeks doing something slightly unhinged. I've been digging through 1993 cable television price sheets. I've been crawling through dead server logs from BitTorrent trackers that shut down a decade ago. I've been reading licensing contracts that were never meant to see daylight. Why? Because I wanted to find the exact moment, the precise inflection point, where the internet broke its promise to us. And what I found is that we've been here before. This exact same cycle, the same companies, the same playbook. For years, we've been told that piracy is stealing, that it's morally wrong, that it hurts creators. But what if I told you that the corporations started stealing from us first? What if the return of piracy isn't about greed, but about something we lost that we didn't even realize was gone? This is the story of how streaming services went from being the hero to becoming the villain, how owning became renting, how convenience became fragmentation, and how the internet, after a brief period of corporate obedience, is returning to its pirate roots. Let's go back to where it all began. It's 2010. You're sitting on your couch. You open your laptop, probably one of those white plastic MacBooks that turned yellow after 6 months, and you log into Netflix. $8 a month. And for that $8, you got everything. Well, not everything, but it felt like everything. The Office, Breaking Bad, Mad Men, Parks and Recreation, entire back catalogs of shows that used to cost $30 per season on DVD. Let me put this in perspective. In 2010, if you wanted to own Season 1 of The Office on DVD, that was $29.99. Season 2, another $30. There were 9 seasons. That's $270 just for one show. Or you could pay Netflix $8 and watch all of it, plus thousands of other shows and movies. This wasn't just a good deal. This was a world-changing deal. This was the moment when piracy actually started to die. Now, here's where I want to show you something most people don't know about, because I didn't just take Netflix's word for this. I wanted to see the actual numbers. I've been digging through licensing agreements from 2008 to 2012 that I pulled from public SEC filings and court documents, and what they show is fascinating. In 2010, Netflix was paying approximately $180 million per year for their entire streaming catalog. That same year, they had about 20 million subscribers. Do the math. They were pulling in $1.9 billion in revenue from streaming subscriptions. They were printing money. But here's the key. The studios didn't realize how much value they were giving away. I found a quote from a Starz executive in a 2011 Variety article. This took me hours to dig up from archive.org because the original site is gone, where he admitted, "We viewed streaming as found money, a way to monetize content that was just sitting in vaults." The studios saw Netflix as a dumping ground, a place to make a few extra bucks off old content that nobody wanted anymore. They had no idea they were creating their own executioner. So why did this work? Why did piracy drop by over 25% between 2011 and 2015? It wasn't because Netflix was free. It wasn't. It wasn't because of some massive anti-piracy campaign. Those never worked. It worked because Netflix solved the actual problem. Think about what piracy looked like in 2010. You had to find a torrent site that wasn't filled with viruses, download a sketchy BitTorrent client, wait hours or days for downloads, hope the file wasn't corrupted or fake, pray you didn't get a copyright notice from your ISP, and manage gigabytes of video files on your hard drive. Netflix? You clicked a button. The show played, in HD, legally, for less than the cost of a single DVD. Gabe Newell, the founder of Steam, said this in 2011, and he was absolutely right. Piracy isn't a pricing problem, it's a service problem. People weren't pirating because they were cheap. They were pirating because it was the only way to get what they wanted, when they wanted it, without jumping through absurd hoops. Netflix made it easier to be legal than to be a pirate. For about 5 years, 2010 to 2015, we lived in what I call the golden age of streaming. One app, one password, one payment, everything you wanted to watch. It was the closest thing we ever had to the mythical Library of Alexandria for television. A single repository of human storytelling, accessible to anyone with an internet connection. But here's the thing about golden ages. They never last. Because the moment Netflix proved this model could work, the moment the studios saw how much money was being left on the table, everything changed. The fragmentation was about to begin. Disney looks at Netflix and has a realization. Wait, we're licensing Spider-Man to Netflix for $200 million a year. But Netflix has 70 million subscribers now. They're making $8.4 billion in revenue. We're making $200 million. This is the moment. This is when everything breaks. Bob Iger, Disney's CEO at the time, literally said in an earnings call, "We believe that we have assets that are so valuable that they should be on our own platform." Translation: why are we making Netflix rich with our content when we could make ourselves rich with our content? And look, from a business perspective, that makes perfect sense. Disney owns Marvel, Star Wars, Pixar, their entire animation catalog, 20th Century Fox content, National Geographic. Of course, they want to monetize that themselves. But here's what they didn't consider, what this would do to the user experience. Because Disney wasn't alone. 2015, HBO launches HBO Now. 2015, CBS launches CBS All Access. 2019, Disney Plus launches. 2019, Apple TV Plus launches. 2020, HBO Max launches. Different from HBO Now. 2020, Peacock launches. 2023, Paramount Plus, which is CBS All Access rebranded. And that's just the major players. We haven't even talked about AMC Plus, Discovery Plus, BET Plus, Showtime, Stars, Crunchyroll, Shudder, Criterion Channel. Within 5 years, we went from one library containing everything to 10 half libraries, each demanding their own membership fee. Okay, let's do some math, because I want to show you exactly how expensive this fragmentation has become. Let's say you're a regular person who wants to watch The Mandalorian, House of the Dragon, The Last of Us, Severance, The Boys, Stranger Things, Wednesday, and The Bear. Here's what that costs you per month. Netflix standard plan, $15.49. Disney Plus, $13.99. Max, $16.99. Apple TV, Plus, $9.99. Prime Video, $8.99. Hulu, $17.99. Total, $83.44 per month. That's over $1,000 a year to watch 8 shows. But wait, it gets worse. Let's say you also want to watch sports. Let's say you want to follow the NFL, NBA, and Premier League. NFL Sunday Ticket is $449 a year. NBA League Pass is $99.99. Premier League on Peacock is $79.99 a year, plus some matches on USA Network. If you want comprehensive sports coverage, you're looking at an additional $91 per month on average. Total monthly cost, $174.44. Cable TV in 2010, $64 a month average. Streaming in 2024, $174 a month. We've gone backwards. The thing that was supposed to kill cable has become more expensive than cable. And unlike cable, where at least everything came through one box, one interface, one bill, now you need to remember which show is on which service, manage 8 different apps, juggle 8 different passwords, and pray none of them are raising their prices this month. But here's what really gets me. It's not just that it's expensive, it's that the content has become a hostage. You know what you can't watch on any streaming service right now? The original Teen Titans, Hannibal, Infinity Train, which HBO literally deleted for a tax write-off. Westworld Seasons 3 and 4, also deleted by HBO. Dozens of Disney Plus originals that were removed and are now completely unavailable. These shows exist. They were made, they were released, and now they're in digital purgatory because it's cheaper for the company to delete them than to keep them on the server. Streaming was supposed to be the Library of Alexandria. Instead, it's a Library of Alexandria that sets fire to books to save on property taxes. The content isn't on one service anymore. It's spread across 10 services, and sometimes it's not on any service. So you can't build a library on sand. And streaming services, they're built on quicksand. But the fragmentation is only half the story, because while all of this was happening, something else was changing, something more fundamental. The very concept of ownership was being quietly redefined. Amazon remotely deleted copies of George Orwell's 1984 from people's Kindles. The irony was not lost on anyone. The book about totalitarian surveillance and memory deletion was memory deleted by a corporation. Amazon's excuse? There was a licensing dispute. The publisher pulled the rights, so Amazon reached into people's devices and removed purchased books. They apologized. They said it was a mistake. They said it would never happen again. It's happened dozens of times since. 2012, Sony removes purchased movies from PlayStation accounts. 2019, Apple removes purchased movies from iTunes libraries. 2021, Microsoft closes its ebook store and removes all purchased books. 2023, Sony deletes entire Discovery shows people paid for on PlayStation. When you buy a DVD, you own it. The company can't come into your house and take it back. It can't degrade the quality. It can't add commercials. It can't stop working because the company decided to shut down a server. But digital purchases? This isn't ownership. This is long-term rental with the illusion of ownership. You know those terms of service agreements nobody reads? Let me read you some highlights. From iTunes. Content may not be available for re-download after it has been removed from the service. From Amazon Prime Video. Due to provider license restrictions, some titles may become unavailable or have limited availability. From Vudu. We reserve the right to revoke your access to any purchased content at any time. Notice the language? May become unavailable. Reserve the right to revoke. You didn't buy a movie. You bought a license to access a movie. And that license can be revoked at any time, for any reason, with no refund. Physical media? You own it forever. Works without internet. Can't be taken away. Can lend, sell, or gift it. Quality never degrades. Digital ownership? License can be revoked. Requires internet and an account. Can be remotely deleted. Can't transfer or share. Quality depends on compression and bandwidth. The word buy has been redefined, and most people don't even know it. But here's something even weirder that's been happening. Something I only discovered while researching this video. There's a term that's been floating around Hollywood production circles since about 2020. They call it second screen content. You know how you sometimes watch TV while scrolling on your phone? The industry knows you do that. In fact, they're counting on it. I found multiple articles from production insiders explaining that streaming services are now commissioning shows specifically designed for people who aren't paying full attention. Shows with simple plots, repetitive dialogue, heavy exposition, lots of reaction shots. Why? Because if the show is easy to follow while you're half watching, you're less likely to cancel your subscription. One anonymous showrunner told Variety, "We're told to make shows that people can follow while doing dishes. That's the direction from the platform." This is what I call the secret screen era. Content designed not to be watched, but to be on while you do other things. Digital wallpaper, expensive, algorithmically optimized background noise, We're paying $15 a month for shows that are deliberately made worse so we don't notice we're not watching them. Let that sink in. And it's not just about attention, it's about control. Remember when you used to browse Netflix and actually discover weird, interesting movies? Remember when you could see everything available in a category? That's gone. Now you see what the algorithm wants you to see. And the algorithm doesn't want you to see good content. It wants you to see content you'll watch just enough of to not cancel your subscription. Studies show that 80% of what people watch on Netflix comes from the recommendation system, not from active searching. You're not choosing what to watch anymore. The algorithm is choosing for you. And it's choosing based on one metric: engagement, not quality, not artistic merit, not whether the show will stick with you or change how you see the world. Just, will this keep you subscribed for another month? So let's take inventory of where we are. We're paying more than cable ever cost. Our content is split across a dozen services. The things we buy can be deleted at any time. Shows are made to be ignored. Algorithms control what we see. And libraries are burning their own books for tax write-offs. Is it any wonder piracy is back? Remember that number from the beginning? 216 billion visits to piracy sites in 2024. That's not a typo. That's a 13% increase from 2023. And 2023 was a 12% increase from 2022. For the first time since Napster, piracy is growing again, and it's not just teenagers in their parents' basements. The biggest growth is in people aged 30 to 45. People who have money. People who used to happily pay for Netflix. So, what happened? Did everyone suddenly lose their morals? Number. They realized they were being played. Let's go back to Gabe Newell's quote, "Piracy is a service problem." Netflix proved this in 2010. They provided a better service than piracy, and piracy declined. But now, the service has collapsed. Piracy in 2024 means every show in one place, no monthly fees, watch on any device, no artificial restrictions, content never disappears, no ads, and better video quality options with 4K, HDR, and lossless audio. Streaming in 2024 means content scattered across 10+ services, $100 to $200 a month total cost, account restrictions, geographic limitations, content removed regularly, increasing ads even on paid tiers, and compressed video quality. Piracy is once again a better service than the legal option. That's not a moral statement, it's just a fact. But here's what's really fascinating. This is the same cycle we've seen before. Phase 1, monopoly and inconvenience. Cable TV bundles in the 1990s. Expensive, inconvenient, full of ads. Result, piracy explodes with Napster and BitTorrent. Phase 2, disruption. Netflix offers better service, better price. Convenient, legal, affordable. Result, piracy declines. Phase 3, fragmentation. Every company wants their own service. Prices rise, quality drops, convenience disappears. Result, piracy returns. We're in phase 3, again. The corporations learned nothing from the first cycle. The internet was born as a library, a place where information wanted to be free, where people shared freely because sharing was the point. Then corporations built walls around that library. They charged admission to different rooms. They raised the prices. They started burning books they didn't want anymore. And now, the walls are coming down again, not because of some grand moral crusade, not because people are evil or greedy, but because the walls became too high, too expensive, and too restrictive to justify. The streaming services had one job: be more convenient than piracy. They succeeded for a decade. But then greed took over, fragmentation happened, prices skyrocketed, ownership became a lie, quality declined, and convenience disappeared. They killed the golden age themselves. Piracy isn't returning because people want free stuff, though that's a nice bonus. It's returning because it's the only way to actually own what you watch, to access what you want, when you want it, without navigating a labyrinth of corporate bureaucracy. The corporations didn't defeat piracy with lawsuits or DRM or copyright strikes. They defeated it with convenience. And the moment they took that convenience away, the internet remembered what it was built for. Welcome back to the age of digital plunder. The library is open again,